Good morning, welcome to Furry and Spoilt. I'm going to talk to you today about Hotspots, itchy skin and dog treats. I talk a lot about diet, and as far as I'm concerned, it's vitally important that you get your diet right for the dog to lose the hotspots. And that's all in, if you go to the playlist, I'll put it up at the end. I talk about that in the past. But the one thing I don't really talk about is treats, which is ridiculous because treats, for me certainly, my dogs get treats all throughout the day, and so it's really, really important the treats that they get don't make the hotspots worse. So the dog that I'm showing you here, the white one that's walking off because he always walks off, yeah, my little Albert here, he is my Bichon that has in the past had the trouble with hotspots, and that's why I started all my research. But you can see, the reason I'm following around is I want to show you how well he's doing. Please ignore, I've got Harry in the background having a moan because he wants someone to play with him. But I want to show you here, look, his skin. If you can see, there's no itchy, there's no hot spots, there's nothing at all. It's absolutely perfect. I mean, he has his Bichon lumps and his warts, but that's nothing to do with hot spots. That's a different thing. But they don't cause him any problems at all. They're all under control. But I just wanted to show you how well he's doing, how well his skin is. I mean, he's 9 now, 9.5. And this hotspot problem started when he was tiny, really tiny when he came to us with it. And in doing the things that I do, that I talk about on this hotspot playlist, look, I just wanted to show you how good his skin is. Albert, I'm just trying to show everybody how good your skin is. You can see there's nothing. He hasn't had a hotspot in years, or any itchiness or anything. He's got a very dirty face because he's been in the mud. But doing everything that I've done and consistently do, and I don't ever change it ever, you can see what great condition he's in. I just wanted to show you that. Right, so I'll just go on now and talk to you about the treats that I give them. Okay, so this is what I used to do. Now that Albert is so much better and has been for years and years and years, I actually feed him just normal dog treats, but stick rigidly to the plan with his diet being grain-free. So the grains that are in dog treats will cause the hot spots, even if you're feeding him the diet I told you, I suggested. But if you're feeding them any grain from anywhere, like treats, then that will cause your hot spots. And if you're feeding a grain-free diet and it's not quite clearing it all up, but you're still feeding normal treats, that will be why. So this is what I did when, anyway, to any dog that's got hot spots now, this is what I would do. When you are training or any time when you need to give your dog a treat. And for me, that's actually quite a lot throughout the day. So what I do is I don't use normal treats. I get either salmon, actually, let me just show you the tin it comes in. If you're familiar with my videos, you would have seen this a million times, this salmon. So it's just Tesco's pink salmon, normal human grade salmon. And it looks like this in the pot, in the container. And the other thing that I use is tuna chunks, but they must be in spring water. That's vital. If you the brine won't cause the hot spots, but brine is just a really fatty, groggy, it's a horrible thing for a dog to eat, and it will often make them sick, and it's just really not a nice thing for them to eat. So I always get my tuna in spring water. Then what I do is I put it into a container, and then what I do is I set up my allowance for the day. So I get myself a smaller container, something like this, just a little dish. I set up put in there how much tuna or salmon they're allowed the day between all three of them. And then if you just wander down here with me, I get a normal courgette. So I always have courgettes in the house because I use them for my smoothies. So just get a normal courgette. Sorry if you can hear my washing machine. And I cut that into little tiny squares, and then I put the tiny little squares in the dish with the salmon or the tuna, and then I actually pick out the chunks of courgette and give them as the treat. and they're flavoured with the tuna or the salmon. Some dogs will just be okay with having a bit of courgette as a treat. Some of mine are. Harry won't. Harry's not falling for that at all. So I have to bribe him with the tuna and the salmon. The thing is, if you're training them and you're actually training them something new and stuff like that, you need to have a high reward treat. And I just don't think courgette cuts it. So you need to have them dipped in either tuna or salmon for it to work. I don't have a scientific reason for this, but just something in me doesn't feel right about just training with my boys just with vegetables. I do give my dogs vegetables, and you know, obviously you all know from other videos, I think vegetables in food is important, but I just think a lot of vegetables can cause gas and bloat, and I just don't like it. I just don't go there. Something else, sorry, just come to my cupboard, is sometimes I will use here whole green beans. Sometimes instead of the courgette, I'll open up a tin of green beans and I'll give them some of them. I haven't got any carrots, but sometimes I'll have tins of carrots and I'll do the same thing and I'll use them instead of the courgette. The only thing you've got to bear in mind is that both of those green beans and carrots are quite a high sugar content. And even though it's a natural sugar, it's still quite a high sugar content, and just be aware of that. So my go-to is chopped up courgette with the salmon and the tuna, and you can't go wrong with that. Right, welcome to my dog drawer. This is where all the stuff, all the stuff that I keep that is needed for using a dog. So I use sizzlers. I don't want to open them because the boys have just settled down after their walk. If I touch that packet, they're all going to come charging in here. Yeah, I think they already... Yeah, Harry's already appeared. He already thinks something's going on. So I'm using normal treats now for all of my dogs for training. But that is because I've got Hotspots so completely and utterly under control that I can take that risk. And it doesn't affect Albert at all. Now, you can get grain-free dog treats, but in my experience, the good ones that the dogs like are really, really expensive. And, you know, that's just your call. I mean, I do sometimes get them for them, but they are very expensive for the amount of treats that I get through. I mean, these are £1 a packet, and that will last me sort of, probably a week. Whereas the other ones, they're just expensive. And I find that, let's go find dogs. This isn't very interesting, is it, looking at my drawer? I find that here we go, here's Hump's having a sleep. Grain-free treats that aren't expensive aren't actually very nice. The dogs don't like it. I mean, literally to a point where they'll put it in their mouth and then spit it out and put it on the floor. They really don't like it. So if you use a grain-free treat that your dog likes, can you let me know about it? Because I'll get some and try them. I've never had any luck with them, which is a real shame because it would be, it would be good. But the main thing is, I just want to say this again, just in case I'm not quite getting it over clearly enough. I only now have Albert on normal dog treats because I've had his Hotspots under control now for like 9 years. But that is because I stick rigidly to everything. The coconut oil, the salmon oil, only grain-free food. You know, all of it. The stuff I'm always going on about in the other videos. I stick rigidly to it. I don't ever go... I never change. I wouldn't dream of feeding him dog food with grain in it. And that is why we're now in a position where he's so good and has been for a good few years that I can actually give him normal treats and it has no effect on him at all. But please believe me that if you're doing the grain-free food, but your dog is still suffering and you're feeding them normal treats, even the smallest amount, that grain in those normal treats, and they're just full of rubbish, aren't they? That is enough to trigger Hotspots if you've still got Hotspots and you haven't got them under control. Right, something else I want to talk to you about is, we just got Harry here having a sniff around our tortoise house. I think she might be starting to think about coming out of hibernation. I've heard her rattling around in there. Anyway, the other thing I want to talk to you about is tidbits. But I'm massively against giving dog Titbits anyway, because it makes them overweight and no good comes of that. However, for a dog with Hotspots, Titbits is really, really bad, because you've got no idea. You know, you could give them a little bit of your toast. That's grains, and grains is the problem. Grains is the whole problem. You know, you could give them a little bit of a biscuit. There will be grains in that, and grains are the enemy when it comes to Hotspots. So just giving them little Titbits isn't going to help at all, because you don't know that there's not grains in them, and it might only seem like a little bit of your toast or a little bit of your biscuit, but if there's grains in them, that will cause a problem. The other thing, and I come across this so much, is people who have got them on the right diet, they're doing everything that I have done, it should be perfect on paper. There is someone in the house that's feeding them Titbits. And it does not take much. The odd bit of biscuit here, the odd bit of toast there is enough grain to stop the Hotspots from clearing up, or the itching if you've just got itchy skin. Sorry, this isn't the most interesting video on earth, but I just want to get across what I'm trying to say. So, yeah, really, really watch people in your house that they're not feeding the Titbits. It could even be your baby. If your baby is, you know, you know, babies give dogs food when they're eating and stuff, and just watch it, because you just don't know that little tiny bit of grain isn't causing all your flare up and causing all your problems. That's it. I haven't got anything else to say on the subject. I don't know why I've never talked about it before. It's so obvious, really, but I just realised that is probably what's causing a lot of people's problems. If you have any other ideas for dog treats, he wants me to throw that. If you have any other ideas for dog treats that are grain-free, whether it's actually a dog treat that is grain-free or whether it's a human food that you use, or whether it's a human food that you use that's grain-free for training and works well, can you please pop it into comments, because I'll be really interested. I'd particularly be interested if there's actually any, you know, manufactured grain-free dog treats that are actually cheap and are actually nice, because I've been hunting for years and I've never found one. So, you know, and as always, your stories of Hotspots are heartbreaking. Absolutely, they're heartbreaking and heartwarming, because I get it both ends. I get your stories about how your dogs are suffering, but then I get the videos where, look at my house. I do actually do housework and I do tidy up, but I've got 3 dogs who move toys around all the time. You know, but then I get the other end of it, where you've tried the stuff that I've done and your dog's no longer got Hotspots, and that is just wonderful. That is exactly what this channel is about. It's about my experience of dogs, and everything that I've gone through with all my dogs, and then helping people like you in your homes with your dogs. That's exactly what this channel is about. So, you know, please keep telling me. Don't think just because your dog's suffering, don't want to hear it. Of course I want to hear it. I have to hear that bad comes with the good. So please tell me your story, and please let me know how you're getting on. If you have commented to me a while ago telling me about your dog and you're going to try stuff or whatever, can you please give me an update, because it's really it's important that I know, because yeah, sure, I've seen it now work with my dog, and I know that it's worked with many dogs that I've helped, but it's all research for me, and that's really important. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video.